Hello students. The active and summer cooling systems are a very important part of management of greenhouses. So because temperature is one of the main component for which we are investing so much so that we can have a proper and congenial temperature for the crops to grow, and we can grow the crops as in off season also, like winter crops can be grown maybe in another months, and like this the summer crops can also be grown in that fashion. So this is very important, that how we can control the temperature inside, and how we can manage the summer and you know uh, cooling systems. Now there is the meaning with the active cooling system means that the objective is to environment control to maximum the plant growth, and controls the temperature, light, air composition, and naturally the medium. Now, active summer cooling system cooling takes place when the heat required for moisture evaporation is derived from the surrounding environment, causing a depression in its temperature. So, the two active summer cooling systems is used. One is either with the help of fan and pad system, and another is with the help of some fog system. So, in order to cool the polyhouse, either we have to put the foggers, or either we are going to install a fan bed system. In fan and pad cooling systems, among one wall of the greenhouse, water is passed through a pad that is usually placed vertically in the wall. These traditionally the pads are made up of wood shreds, but today, due to availability of cross-fluted cellulose material, so these are preferred, and these pads are normally made from the cellulose, and these are called the cellulose pads. In the opposite direction, in the opposite wall, there is exhaust fans, and they are heavy duty exhaust fans, and once they the wind is exhausted, so what happens, there is a kind of siphon being generated inside, there is a vacuum, and the colder air from the cellulose pads which are wet is coming inside, it's been forced inside, and these will maintain the temperature inside the greenhouse. Normally it has been found that these pads, they lower down the temperature up to 10 to 15 degrees, which is a huge difference from the outside environment, and this is just like a cooler system, these fan and pad systems works. uh, So here it is a clear picture about the fan and pad cooling system. I'm trying to explain to you that this is a water tank, and this is a kind of cellulose pad is there. This is the cellulose pad here, and there is a continuous. It's kept wet with the circulation water, which is kept on the top, and it is gravitationally like keeping the cellulose pad wet, and again there is a circulation. And now the hot air which is coming from this direction, the hot air which is coming inside the greenhouse, once it is passing from these pads, it get cooler, and now there is exhaust fans in the typically the opposite direction, and as the hot air is expelling from here, so this cool air is coming from inside, and it is in this way there is a what colder air is coming, and this is keeping the polyhouse cool. So then another type of method is by the conventional tube type cooling system. This is a system in which we have a perforated tube on the suspended in the polyhouse, and there is an exhaust fan here. So when it is started, there is a air which is being uh, coming inside, and it is keeping the polyhouse cool. Now, just like cooling, we have the heating systems also. The solar heating systems are also there. So they are also just like controlling the temperature inside. When you need to increase the temperature in the greenhouse, the solar operators works, and the hot air is forcibly kept, thrown inside the greenhouse. The second important type of cooling system, methodology or technique which we are using is the fog cooling system. Now, in this system, what we have high pressure pumping apparatus which generates fog containing water droplets with the mean size of less than 10 micron and using suitable nozzles. Now, these droplets are sufficiently small to stay suspended in air while they are evaporating. Fog is depressed throughout the greenhouse, cooling the air everywhere. And the system does not wet the foliage, there is a less scope of diseases and pest attack. So many a time it has been told that these greenhouse fogging systems are not for irrigation, but it is only to lower down the temperature of the greenhouse. So in this way, they are working, and naturally, if there is no, you know, what you say, when you there is no um, diseases and then much wet or humidity is there, so there the less scope of disease and pest attacks. These sometimes also helps in promoting the seed germination and propagation also. The conventional tube cooling system, as I have already discussed in the picture, so this is about the pipe in which the air is forced and pressurized air is thrown inside the greenhouse, and at the same time it is cooling the structure. Now, HAF flowing system is also very important. This is the horizontal airflow cooling systems in which the HAF fans are installed in a horizontal way, and when these fans run, they give a horizontal movement to the air inside the greenhouses, and that way the air is circulated inside the greenhouse. The fan should be arranged in such a way that air flows are directed along the length of the greenhouse and parallel to the ground. The fans are placed from 6 to 0.9 meter above the plant height and around at the interval of 15 meters. Uh, the HF systems make use of same exhaust fans, inlet and controls as the conventional tube systems. The only difference in the HF fans is the in the place of convection tubes, it is the air distribution. So here you can just see in this diagram, it is very clear that how these fans works. Now in a small poly house, in the first diagram, there is two HAF fans and they are giving a circulation motion to the wind. Now in the second picture, it is a little bigger poly house, so there are four fans and they are working like this. And similarly, in the still bigger poly house, there are around six fans and they are also erected in such a way that air coming from one is taken up by the other, and there is a total circulation of wind in the polyhouse in such a way that all air is getting mixed up, and the cool air which is coming, it get properly spread and well distributed inside the greenhouse, and it is making the polyhouse uniform environment inside. Sometimes we go for greenhouse ventilations also. The ventilation is different. We have a top vent, and sometimes we have side windows also. And the ventilation is the process of allowing the fresh air to enter in the closed area by driving out the air with undesirable properties. So in the greenhouse context, ventilation is essential for reducing temperature, replenishing carbon dioxide, and controlling relative humidity. The ventilation requirement for greenhouse vary greatly depending on the crop growth and the season of production. The ventilation systems can be either a passive system or it can be an active system with the help of fans. The passive system means that we are not using any energy for that. This is a natural ventilation. There may be some vents which may be kept open, and there is a hot and cold air movements inside and outside is happening. So this is, at the one, this picture is very clearly showing how the structure is ventilating. There are some roll-up curtains also, and these roll-up curtains are keeping the sides open, and the air circulation happens. Air movement is there, and when you don't need that, these are covered, especially in winters. Normally, they are been open in the day and it closed in the night, and as such, the temperature inside, which remains in the warmer, which makes the polyhouse warmer in the day, that temperature remains for a longer period during the night and keeps the plants in a the temperature is not going down and keep the plants in a better way. So again, this is we have already taken up the fan and pad systems. It's the same picture here. But sometimes not natural ventilation is enough, so we go for forced ventilation. So in this case, we are using certain exhaust fans and all, which are run on the electricity, and with these fans, we are ventilating the polyhouses. Now, as computers everywhere, so it is also involved in greenhouses also. So we have a fully automated systems, or you can say the automized systems, in which we every all these valves and all are controlled under software with the help of computers and apps, and which has real time or sensor based sensor based what you say is sensors, and these are makes the signals of deficiency, or when the fans to be started, when irrigation should pump should be open, when there should be the fogger should be open, when there is an increase in the temperature and all that. So this is all controlled by system computers, and as such comes under the computer controlled polyhouses. So provide fully integrated control of temperature, humidity, irrigation, fertilization, and carbon dioxide, light, shade levels for any size of growing facility. The computer can control hundred of devices within a greenhouse at the same time. Water mixing walls, irrigation walls, curtain, lights, etc. Then the computer system receives signals from all the sensors, evaluate all conditions, and send appropriate commands every minute to each piece of equipment. So you can say that these are so important that sometimes there may be some human errors, but system is very accurate for taking the decisions on the requirements and all. So this was about the cooling and of active and passive cooling of greenhouses, and about the various things which are required for weather control.